Hello, everyone. I'm Meredith, and welcome to Conversations with Friends, where we're always in search, I like to say this, of people that we feel are doing something that is making a difference in our community and bringing our community together, hopefully bringing some kind of really positive change, into our community, which leads to change in the world. And one of our meditators with the Brahma Kumari said, well, I read about somebody, see the power of the media, and I think you should contact her. And that was my guest. Her name is Roni Bennett, and Roni Bennett is definitely a change maker. She's the founder of South Florida People of Color. And she didn't just start it, she started it 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And we're going to learn about how her vision and what her vision is for not just its course for the rights of people of color, but it's also for us to all, if we're to be able to understand each other and come together and respect each other, so that change can happen and we can live in a community where there is really, as far as I'm concerned, peace and love and acceptance. So Roni, it's a pleasure to have you here.
Wonderful. It's wonderful to be here. So thank you for having me.
And I loved, you're welcome. And I just loved our conversation the other day. You didn't know who I was, and I got in contact with you. And we just had a very long conversation. And I wanted to start with your vision because it didn't just happen last week or in the last year. 10 years ago, you had a vision for creating a better community and a more accepting, tolerant, or loving community. And tell me about that vision.
Yeah, sure. How it started, really?
Well,
How it started.
What happened?
It kind of transformed into that, but how it started was to, I'm here in Miami Shores, about probably 10,000 families. Here's a small little village, we call it. And, what made me want to do something different is because I was helping out a woman who was running for council. So you run for council, it's like 5 on the council. Who gets the most votes to become mayor. And, so a Colombian woman, Colombian American woman. And what we noticed, though, when we were helping her, because we were knocking on doors, that majority of the folks in Miami Shores were over 56% people of color. But if you look at the council and all the boards, it was about 90 positions, they were all white and almost all white men. Right. So that was the thing. We need to get involved, right? So it was that's how it started, to get people more involved and people of color involved. And I kind of consider white people of color as well, so
Okay.
it's a diverse, it's just different folks coming together. And then so what we did was we needed to teach folks, about our shared history. So that's how we started, by teaching people. And how we teach, though, is very experiential. So it's not just, you listen actively. It's getting people involved. So, you do book discussions, but also how it relates to maybe something that's happening in your life as well. So, so those took off, right? So we had we called it Unity360 Community Dialogues. Everybody come together, maybe 60 to 70 folks. That was getting a lot too much. So we did awkward dinners to make it a smaller group so we could have more intimate conversations. But what we noticed, when people come together and talk to each other, they find out how much they have in common, and they actually become friends. So
how interesting, isn't it?
And simple.
Isn't it interesting that a lot of maybe dislike or not accepting people of different color or religions or whatever has to do with the fact that we probably don't know each other at some level, right?
Exactly.
If you don't associate with people and you don't have friends that are of different backgrounds and lifestyles and everything, you just don't know them. And do you think sometimes it does, unfortunately, come about because of your family? Maybe you grew up with
in the media, and I mean, when you really think about, if you were born here in the US and probably the world, it is in the DNA of just think how this country was formed, right? It's very exclusive. It's based on white supremacy. And so that's in the water. We're all, and we're looking at just individual folks. You're looking at the shark and it's really the water. And that's what we try to wake people up to. So then once you know better, you'll do better, right?
And I'm sure that you've had many just success stories with people that walk in and they come together, and all of a sudden somebody that maybe they didn't know or they didn't had no relationship with, right? What
Yeah.
happens?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we did, it took over 4 years though, where people were
Yeah.
together. We actually voted in our first Black mayor, Black female mayor, and also the second one after that too. So, and then we also had on our council, which was 5 people on the council, 3 Black women, one LGBT gay guy,
Mm-hmm.
and and a white guy, which was good.
One white guy. Oh, that sounds pretty
So we had a nice
forward thinking,
variety.
right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So it actually have people where they're like, yeah, they're not going by just, that person is not, qualified. It's like they know the folks now. They know their qualifications, they know their competence, they know, their humanity, basically. So it, I mean, those are the results right there, right? And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
we also did it up in Broward as well. This is, another story, but so yeah, we need to come together and talk to each other. And yeah,
And so that it's so interesting to me because that really is the key, isn't it?
yeah, it is.
Coming
It's
together.
that
So
simple.
how did you come upon this idea? Because I've been involved with things through the Brahma Kumaris of where we do these kinds of things. And actually another organization, I think I mentioned to you, the Peace Studio, where we do bring people together in the media and the arts to
Yeah,
realize how they can create change in the world. And you go into a room and it's always with people of just different backgrounds, different colors,
yes,
different
beautiful.
religions, and everybody becomes friends. There's just
Yeah,
something about being in a room together. So how did you develop because you've been doing these conversations, right? They're
yeah.
conversations like we have. How did you come up with this idea as
It kind
yeah,
of became organic in a way.
really good.
Yeah, because we would do our book talks, we would do our film series.
Mhm.
We will do, we love books, so it's really
Yeah.
books
Oh,
and
that felt.
history. But one of the things, and then we would do exhibits. So we kind of combine history with art, along with having these conversations and along with having those uncomfortable conversations. So you're kind of like, look at the art, look at you look at the films, and then we're like, let's talk about it. And then people talk about it and how it, again, how it relates to them. And then we become more and more, it's like, yeah. And of course we had food and drinks too. Maybe that helps too. But so it's like it's just a whole
Food
festive,
helps. Yeah, yeah.
immersive kind of thing. Because, that people learn differently. Everybody's not neurotypical, right? There's a lot of neurodivergent people.
People,
Everybody
sure.
just doesn't, so we have it all coming in at you. And that's what I noticed too, because I was not, into that, because I would call it, I call it like, kind of mushy kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I would call you
Like
guys.
kind of, we used to call it, somebody used to call it, say, oh, like woo woo,
Yeah, yeah, right.
kind of weird people,
I
come
was one of
together,
those people
strange,
that
so
I would
strange.
have said that too. But
Right,
then I
right. Like,
saw the transformation in people, and I'm like, wow, this is beautiful. This works. So I really started, I learned a lot. Let me put it that way as well. I learned from this, and that's the beauty. Oh, you always want to be learning, right? So
yeah.
I'm all like, I just see how this stuff works. And then it's not just that, right? It's like, okay, now we come together. Yeah, we love each other and all that. Love you, what I mean, love you.
Sure. No,
Not like
I
myself.
get it.
Yeah.
We know. Yeah.
But but it's
Right.
kind of like now we have to do something. We have to advocate,
Right. Right.
because a lot of this stuff is we start individually, but a lot of it is systemic,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
institutionalized. And that's the hard part as well. So now we recognize, right? We've taken that red pill of the matrix, and now we see what's going on. And then all individually we could do something to change that, because it's one thing of us knowing and have all the knowledge, but you got to do something to make that change.
Well, the acting part. And again, that's something, acting on it.
acting on it,
But
not
don't you
just,
think that kind of happens organically itself? Somebody suddenly has an idea to go do something, or a
well,
vision, for
yeah, you hope
creating.
so, right? You hope so.
Yeah,
And but the thing is, we are not alone. So you have that idea. Let's bring it together and we can do it together. You can do much
yeah,
more together, right? Many hands, what is it? Many hands create light work or something like that. Yeah,
something like that, right?
yeah,
That's good. I wanted to just break away to mention, this, because that's why I was calling you, to get you involved when I read about you. And I said, oh my goodness, she's one of us, she believes in, social change through coming
yes,
together and gatherings. And like I say, all the things that I've been involved with through the Brahma Kumaris and these other nonprofit groups, like what was Images and Voices of Hope, and then there was the Peace Studio, which exists now. They
yeah,
merged, and it's always been about gatherings. It's always
yes,
been about people sitting at a table, and you have
yep,
people from, again, all countries, religions,
yes,
everything,
yes, we do.
economic backgrounds, and
Yes,
everybody becomes family. And it's
yes,
sometimes I go, I feel so lucky that I have been kind of like, I don't want to say trained in this, but been
yeah.
learned this
No, you
when I,
are. You
quite
are.
young, well, younger, a lot younger. And I wanted to, this is why we came to you. And we're doing this event called Time
Mhm.
Itself is Ready for Change.
Mhm.
And the whole idea is in celebrating the legacies of Brahma Baba, who was the spiritual founder of the Brahma Kumaris, which is a spiritual organization. It's not a religious organization, it's a
Mhm.
meditation
Good.
organization, of philosophy of peace and love. And again,
Yes,
it's that we're all souls, we're all light.
exactly.
And so if we look at people as souls and don't look at the bodies, we're all sisters and brothers,
Right.
and we wanted to honor Brahma Baba and Dr. Martin Luther King for the work that they've both done, to really advance and to bring about a different culture and a different. Here
Yes.
it is. It's on the screen now. And speakers, and you're going to be one of our speakers. You said to me, "It's going to be a long speech." I said, "No, just come on and
Yeah.
share." And just what you said, you're going to come on Sunday, January 19th, which is coming up a week from Sunday, for 4:30 to 6:30. Another thing about the Brahma Kumaris is we never charge for anything. And
Yeah.
so people can just
Either.
sign up, and it's free. All they
Yeah.
have to do is use the QR code, or I think there's even a number and something else on the screen here. There's a website. You probably had no idea who are these people,
Mm.
I, that's what I love. I
Beautiful.
just love what we believe is, wait, I don't think I read this about transformation, that this is the time. Well, time itself is ready for change. And let
Hmm.
me read this if I didn't,
Okay.
reading
No,
it
you
again,
haven't.
because I think this is very important. Together, let us embody the light and courage needed to transform our world in this pivotal moment of change.
Yeah.
So we're here at a time when it seems like terrible things are happening in the world, and they seem to be worsening, whether it's politics or everything, law, environment, everything. The Brahma Kumaris, believe it or not, I'm not here to kind of try to teach you anything, because you already have your, way of thinking and everything. But the Brahma
Always can
Kumaris
learn.
really believe this is the time of transformation, that into a better world. And
Good.
you either embrace it or you stick with the old world.
Right.
And that's up to you. So I was just wondering about your feelings about these times. How can we be in these times and really, really be change makers, all of us?
Well, I just don't give up. I have hope, so I
Yeah,
don't give up because it has really impacted our business. So,
terrible
yeah,
thing.
it has really, so it's not a good thing. But it was before, it's not really the federal, it's more of being in Florida
Uh-huh.
and having, I call him our grand wizard governor. And so we have that
Mm,
really tries to attack what we try to do. We try to be inclusive. And
mm.
by the way, we also, if any of our events, we want it to be free so everybody can come.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And we try to be equitable, right? But I guess that's a bad thing to be inclusive and equitable, right? So,
Well,
so I mean,
we're, yeah.
according to our leaders, and there's a lot of folks that, I get hate mail from all the time about this.
Do you?
Oh yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I don't read it though. I don't read it anymore.
Good.
So,
That's good. You don't
yeah.
want to read anything that's going to be negative or going to
Yeah,
affect the way you think.
power of words is something. You got to be careful with that. Um, so yeah, so I'm not giving up on this. I think,
can feel it. You're not giving
no,
not at all. You're
I mean,
definitely.
obviously we were doing something right? So we got to continue. We don't, like with these kind of, and I call this like a revolution. It's always happening. You always have to do something. So yeah, I've been building even more community.
Mhm.
There's some people that kind of step back, some come up. And so building community, because I don't think you could do anything of significance by yourself, right? So we're building community and we'll be educating folks and we will fight back, So we'll see what the creative juices come. So we'll see.
Yeah, and you will succeed. You definitely will.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't have any doubt.
Do you believe in this idea of just, I mean, one by one by one, as we just keep reaching more people, that's how change happens. I mean, yes, we'd like to reach 1,000 people and awaken and realize, that we're all connected and we're all brothers and sisters and everything. But it's really a matter of you go somewhere and you talk to somebody, another person, you meet somebody and you invite them to something. And as one person changes and another person changes, the world changes, right?
I mean, that you have to get to people, and even though we have our events, right? You never know who you're going to touch, right? You don't touch everybody.
No.
But and everybody, you meet people where they are, and then, with time they will come because they do come back.
Yeah.
So yeah, we kind of believe in that too. It's like we will say having these, our awkward dinners,
Right.
one room at a time. Change people one room at a time, right? So yeah, that's but again, what does that involve? That's talking, right? That's talking to each other. That's the key, right?
Isn't that a beautiful thing to think that just sitting in a room with people that you don't know or you don't, or you don't feel like you resonate with for whatever reason, you can end up being their best friend when you leave, right?
Yeah. And you never know who you might impact too. People will come back some later and say, you said this thing and it really had an effect on me. And I'm thinking, what did I say? But it's good, right? So you never know. That's why you need to choose your words a little bit, it should be positive, but based in reality though.
Sure, not just no, not just like kind of
you got to be
no, it has to be real. But the power of words is very important, what we say, how we say it, and to be aware, to me, is to be aware of what I say and, how I can support everybody that's doing good things, and doing things that are making a difference in the world. And sometimes, though, I wonder, and I'm going to ask this question, sometimes you do see something that you feel is clearly, either it could be racist, it could be anti-Semitic, it could be anti-immigrant. And I sometimes wonder, is it good to call somebody on that? I have done that. And sometimes I think I should, and sometimes I think I shouldn't. Not to go attack anybody, but to just...
I think we all have a role. We all have a role.
Yeah.
That when we talk about disrupting, you do that, but you could do it. There's ways, and I have like this little card that shows people, you can do it in nice ways. It doesn't have to be like an attack or anything. It could be, because sometimes people say things, we're all socialized and you don't realize that it is, right?
Yeah.
So something you might just question the person when they say something, you're like, so what do you mean by that? You could just say something like that. Let them explain what they're saying. And sometimes they'll be like, what?
Good point.
It makes them think, because that's the problem. We're not thinking, we're just saying stuff.
People just don't.
Yeah. But it could be, but it may not be, right? So so you always want to question or maybe educate them on that. Like, oh, do you know the history of that word that you just said, right? But that's a little bit better than, trying to like, oh, that's bad, because sometimes people don't know. Sometimes it's ignorance, So once people know better, they'll do better, hopefully.
Never, you are right. Once they know better, and to never really offend anybody, even if you want to express your opinion about something, never.
Well, never say never, but
never, but not. Yeah, if it's really a really bad kind of a thing and you feel like
Yeah, we don't have to
something,
be.
sometimes you have to stand up, you know.
Yeah, sometimes you have to stand up. But I think sometimes things are not as bad as you think. It's a
Right.
lot of ignorance out there. I
Yeah.
mean, you see if you're on the internet, you see it. And
Yeah.
people just don't know, but they'll take and they want to be in their ignorance. A lot of people want to be in
Mm-hmm.
ignorance, So just educating folks. That's why our thing is education, dialogue, and advocacy, because we feel that's how you will heal. You'll learn, you'll understand, and that's the key. That's the key.
That's powerful stuff right there. And
Mm-hmm.
I've really enjoyed getting to talk with you, and I think I
Yeah,
could
you
talk with
too.
you all day. I just want to say one other thing is about the power also of the media and the arts, and that changes people.
Yeah,
When people
of
see a
course.
play and then they understand another culture, or
Yes.
they understand how people were treated, I mean, things like that can really affect change as well, I think, in things that are not necessarily so deep, but that have a message that's
So that's
positive.
what we'll do that too. We'll have like a play or a film or a performance.
Yeah.
But we will put, you're always going to learn something with us, right? So, like we have something coming up in February with MoCA, which is the Metropolitan.
Yeah, the Museum of Contemporary Art. Yeah, MoCA.
Right.
Yeah.
So they have an installation
Uh,
with Andrea Chung, and she does things for it's like Caribbean. She's Jamaican Chinese. Like Jamaican Chinese,
Interesting.
or she probably said Chinese Jamaican.
Nice.
Well,
Yeah.
anyway, so we're gonna do an immersive kind of thing where her installation talks about colonization, but also the foods in the Caribbean and about women and their resistance. So we'll do a whole thing around that, but we're also will educate on the foods that we're eating, where it came from back in the day and colonization, right? Um,
Yeah.
we could talk about how the women's role. We could talk about just a Caribbean history. So you're combining art, history, in culinary expert.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
Absolutely fascinating.
yes,
Um,
that'd be good.
and you are truly an inspiration just to be able to sit here with you
Thank
on
you.
Zoom, right? And get
Yeah,
to talk to you and just learn about the work that you're doing and how urgent it is what you're doing. I
it
really
is
feel that
urgent.
way. And I'm going to ask you one more question. So how do you spread this? Like, how do you get into other communities all over? Like, could you picture doing something in Aventura or in Coral Gables or
Oh,
wherever?
absolutely. We're South Florida, so we're all over.
Wherever, all over, and having real
Yeah,
conversations with people.
yeah, we've been all over, but we need funding, right? So we do
Sure, sure.
grant now we're doing grants
Uh-huh.
because we like to make it free for everyone.
Yeah,
Someone has to,
beautiful.
but somebody got to pay, right? So
Yeah, well, these kinds of things can cost, can
it
cost.
costs because we
So,
don't no, we don't do it like so I believe in equity too. So we have
mhm.
trained facilitators in restorative practice, transformative practices. It's not just like a corporate kind of thing. It's more
Right. No, not at
more
all. Not at,
embodiment of your body, your
yeah.
soul. It's your aura. It's really important to have all of that. So
It all matters. It all matters.
we
And
put it
again,
all together. So
Ronnie
yeah, so we're all over. We're
Bennett,
all over. Yes, Bennett.
I'm sorry, it's
Yeah.
a pleasure to have you on the program.
Thank
And to me,
you.
you are truly a change maker.
Thank
And
you.
just keep up the good work. And you founded the South Florida People of
Color.
Color. Yeah, sorry. The
Yeah.
South Florida People of Color.
This is the
And
10th year. It's
people
going to
are
be the
invited
10th
to be
year.
part of your growing group and whatever
Yes.
it is that you're doing. And I found it very easy to find you. I was able to just get on the internet number.
SouthFloridaPOC.org, right?
Yeah, it was very easy. And you called me right back, which says a lot. Sometimes you can wait a long time.
Yeah, no, I call
And
people.
yeah, and thanks so much for joining us and
Thank
being on the
you.
program. We're going to see you at the event. Again, time is ready for change. Sunday, January 19th, 4:30 to 6:30. It's free, being done by the Brahma Kumaris, and it's celebrating the legacies of Brahma Baba and Dr. Martin Luther King, and we are going to have music and some talks and discussions. And
you have some food too, right?
maybe. Not sure about that. We don't know how many are coming, but we'll see. We often offer something, something little, like we call it totally some cookies or something, but yeah. So it's just great to get to talk with you.
All right. I look forward to see you next week.
Nice to meet you in person. Yes, next week.
We'll
talk. Yeah.